which stands for the Associated Press, with a credible source. You know, they do all types of news issues with the world and the country. So it says the title of the article, which is the title of the video, it says Putin says he hopes there will be no need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Now, I don't, obviously I don't know the ins and outs of why he said that and what would bring that to mind. But we know when they say certain things, we gotta look when they say certain things. When they say like he hopes there will be no need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, in my mind, first thing I thought of is that he feels that eventually there will be a use to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Just like how you got America and Iran saying, America, Iran, and the small is saying that we want to make a peace deal. We want peace. We want this, that, and the third. But yet, in the meantime, everybody's getting ready for war and everybody's preparing. You just had Iran, and I'm going back to this article, but you just had Iran, something with a I forget what it was called. I got the article, but it was something to where they transformed it into a what do they call it? Aircraft carrier for launching attacks. But everybody's talking about they want peace and it's coming to this, that, and the third. But the actions speak louder than words. And if Putin's saying that he hopes that there is no need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, that means that there's a possibility that he might use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. So, get into this article. So it says Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that the need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine had not arisen and that he hopes it will not. Which means in my mind, I'm thinking like maybe it has arisen, and he hopes it doesn't transpire any longer to where his hand is forced. But obviously, according to prophecy, there's a lot of ins and outs of things that need to happen before any nuclear weapons are used. Because these devils still have to get the MOTB rocking, and even though Russia is Gog and Magog, there's other things that have to transpire, and more so that's more with the Middle East. But if he were to use a nuclear weapon on the Ukraine, hey, that's the Lord's will nonetheless. And it probably won't be no crazy nuclear shit because they got a large arsenal, but nuclear is nuclear. So it says in a preview of an upcoming interview with Russian state television published on Telegram on Sunday, which is today, it says Putin said Russia has the strength and the means to bring the conflict in Ukraine to a logical conclusion, whatever that means. It says responding to a question about Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory, Putin said there has been no need to use those nuclear weapons, and I hope they will not be required. We have enough strength and means to bring what was started in 2022 to a logical conclusion with the outcome Russia requires, he said. He says, Putin signed a revamped version of Russia's nuclear doctrine in November 2024, which is a few months ago, spelling out the circumstances that allow him to use Moscow's atomic arsenal, the world's largest. That version lowered the bar, giving him that option in response to even a conventional attack backed by a nuclear power. It says Russia and Ukraine are at odds over competing ceasefire proposals. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky said Friday in comments made public Saturday that Moscow's announcement of a 72-hour ceasefire next week in Ukraine to mark Victory Day in World War II is merely an attempt to create a soft atmosphere ahead of Russia's annual celebrations. It says Zelensky instead renewed calls for a more substantial 30-day pause in hostilities as the U.S. had initially proposed. He said the proposed ceasefire could start anytime as a meaningful step toward ending the war. But being that Amalek is Ukraine is Amalek, the Lord said they should have war with Amalek from generation to generation. This ain't going to stop. No matter how many ceasefires or pauses you have, at the end of the day, it's a pause to something that's going to continue to be ongoing. It says Putin on Monday declared a unilateral 72 ceasefire in Ukraine to mark Victory Day in World War II as the U.S. presses for a deal to end the 3-year-old war. The Kremlin said The truce order on humanitarian grounds will run from the start of May 8th and last through the end of May 10th to mark Moscow's defeat of Nazi Germany in 1945. Russia's biggest secular holiday. It says a Russian drone attack overnight on the Ukraine capital Kiev wounded 11 people. Ukraine State Emergency Service said Sunday 2 children were among the wounded. The attack woke up Valentina Fasuik, an 83-year-old resident of Kiev's Obolan district. I was just sleeping when the house shook. It was at 12:30. An apartment on the 12th floor caught fire, she told the Associated Press. The car of another resident, vehicle, whatever, cold tab, caught fire. I saw my car burning. I was covered with broken glass, he said. I couldn't do anything. The 54-year-old was frustrated with stalled peace negotiations. They can't agree on anything, and we are the ones who suffer the consequences. And that's what's coming to America. See, Americans don't understand that. That's coming here. So all the stuff that America's doing abroad, it's gonna bring static to the American soil. And that's what people in America don't understand. And on top of that, America has already in-house issues. The whole shit with the so-called black people and white people, the tensions of people from other countries that's happening in the world, the people over here having tensions. You got small hats over here, you got Ukrainians over here, you got Russians over here, you got all these kind of people over there from all these areas where all the static is happening. So yeah, it says the 54-year-old was frustrated with stalled peace negotiation, but the Lord said what? Y'all ain't gonna have no peace. The Lord said he should have war with Amalek from generation to generation. The Lord said that Satan's house divided, and these are all Edomites, and this is Esau's kingdom. A house divided, how shall it stand? So this place is already done. Esau, these are all Edomites. Now, granted, Babylon the Great, which is America, that's going to be completely destroyed. But all these other all these other countries where Edomites, those are Edomites, and the time is now for the third world to come quickly. And that's why the Lord has them steadily coming at each other, man, blowing each other up, attacking each other. It said they can't agree on anything, and we're the ones who suffer the consequences. And nobody seems to agree on any peace talks. But yet the war continues, because why? It's YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI that's doing this, man. The Lord said that he shall make war with these nations, man. He's gathering up. He's assembling the nations. He's gathering the nations for that great day for him to send YAHAWASHI back. So now he's getting all these nations in a war mode mentality. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, said it's a time of war. It's not the time of, hold on, matter of fact, let me get that. Oh shit, I'm in Ecclesiastes. So there's a book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to jump down. It says, to everything there is a season. Everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So what? There's a season. There's a time. Everything there's a season. So what season are we in right now? Yeah, it's quote unquote spring, about to be summer. But what other kind of season is it, man? Season of war. And we jump down to verse 3. It says, a time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. Now, what is the Lord doing right now? He's breaking up Esau's kingdom. It was a time for it to be built up, but now that time is done. And that is why you got these people talking about, oh, they're trying to have peace. But there's not going to be peace until YAHAWASHI comes back. He's the king of peace. Esau don't know peace. That's why the whole time of this devil's reign, the whole time of this devil's kingdom, he's been at war. Whether it be certain countries against each other or whatever. A time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. What the Lord is breaking down America, bringing down Esau's kingdom as a whole. Because Russia and over there, they're experiencing losses too. They're not being built up. Because right now, the war is just festering. Verse 4, and it says, a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Because what? People aren't laughing right now. Because what? This is a time to weep. They're weeping over there in the Ukraine. The person just said that their house, excuse me, their car got blown up. And they recovered with broken glass. It's not a time of celebratory over there in the regions that I work. And it's not even time of celebratory in America. Yeah, people are trying to keep this false sense of happiness and all that shit. But at the end of the day, the war still lingers and the war still continues. And the war is just going to continue to intensify. Oops. And I'm going to jump down to verse 8, and it says, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 8, and it says, a time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. You can't have peace and war at the same time, because that's why the Lord said it's a season. You can't have two seasons at the same time. And right now, we're in the season of war. This is a time of war. The world is at war. Hence, World War III, the third world approach, coming quickly. And it's funny. That's how you know it's crazy, because when you go into the NLT, it's written exactly the same. Because in Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, in the King James, it says, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And in the NLT, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. So basically, they just replace of with for. But it's really worded the same way, because that's what it's a time of war. So let me go back to the article. Shalom to those watching. So yeah, it says a 54-year-old, this is a Ukrainian speaking, was frustrated with stalled peace negotiations. They can't agree on anything, and we're the ones who suffer the consequences. It says Darina Kravchuk, an 18-year-old student in a district, described how 5 to 6 minutes after the air raid was activated, we heard strong impact. Everything started shaking. There were 3 strikes almost in a row after the air raid was activated. This is in the Ukraine right now, and what they got from Russia. And you got Putin saying that there's no need to use, and hopefully there'll be no need to use nuclear weapons. But yet he mentioned nuclear weapons, and everybody keeps mentioning nuclear weapons, because why? That's going to be the weapons that's going to be the weapons of the Third World War. Nuclear destruction, nuclear war. And America solely is going to be completely annihilated, man. By nuclear ship from nuclear missile shot from Russia, by nuclear missile shot from Iran, so on and so forth, from China, North Korea, Pakistan. All these nations are getting ready for war. And that's what the scripture, that's what the prophecy said. It says what? Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. But let me get back to this article. It said it's very scary to witness. We have been suffering from this for so long. So remember, it's been since 2022. It says people are just suffering all the time. It's still very hard to see our country constantly being destroyed, she told the AP. Because what? It's a time to be destroyed. But what does it say in the scriptures again? Matter of fact, I'm gonna start from the top again, and I'm gonna read verses 1 through 3. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, and it says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And that's where we're at right now. We're under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. People are dying right now. And people are being born. But at the end of the day, people are dying from what? War. Because we're in a time of war. It says a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. You know, talk about harvests and whatnot. Verse 3, it says a time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. But what's happening right now, Esau's kingdom is being broken down. No matter what country it's in, Russia, America, it's all being broken down. Because why? It's Esau's kingdom as a whole. And the Lord said that this is Satan's kingdom, because Satan is ruling through Esau, his human counterpart on the earth, under heaven. And now it's war. And now they're warring with each other. Now, I don't know how like the tension between Russia and Ukraine have been for all these years. But I know ever since they said Ukraine applied to join NATO, that's when the whole war shit started with Russia. Because you gotta remember, Russians and Ukrainians are the same people. If I hold up, shit. Might as well get Saints House divided. Fuck. Matthew chapter 12. This is the book of Matthew chapter 12, and I'm starting at verse 25. It says, and Yahawashi knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Now Israel knows firsthand about that, because once our kingdom was split, look what happened to us. And Esau's kingdom ain't gonna be no different. No other kingdom could, no other empire, no other nation that's ruling, if they're divided amongst themselves, that kingdom cannot stand. So it says, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And what are we in right now? The house of Edom, Esau. This is Esau's kingdom. And Esau are in Russia and Ukraine. Those are all Edomites. And they're at war right now. Hell, the EU, NATO, America, all that, they're all at odds too. America against Russia. This all Esau's kingdom as a whole. And if this divided, how shall it stand? It says, how can a kingdom divided amongst itself, how can it stand? And when you think about it, the whole thing, remember the term divide and conquer? So that's what the Lord is actually doing to the Esau. He's dividing them, and he's going to send Yahawashi to conquer them, and then conquer the whole earth. And it says, Matthew chapter 12, verse 26. And it says, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? How shall then his kingdom stand? How is his kingdom going to stand when you got Esau against each other? America, Edomites. Russia, Edomites. EU, all this, Poland, Germany, all that, Edomites. Europe, Edomites. World War III, NATO against Russia, Edomites. So how can his kingdom stand if the whole house of Esau is at war with each other or about to go to war with each other? You got Russia, you had Europe talk about repairing the whole continent for World War III. And the NATO, Europe, the EU, whatnot, has been talking about going to war against Russia, which are also all Edomites. So you tell me, how is that scripture, the prophecy, how is that not coming to pass right now? How is Yahawashi not talking the truth? The Lord said what? He always quoted what? I tell you the truth. In these days, and they asked him, what should be the sign of thy coming? What should be the sign of the end of this world? And he told him, we should hear, hey, matter of fact, let's get that. It's in Matthew 24. So that's the book of Matthew, chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 3. And it reads, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? What world is that? Esau's world. 2nd Esdras, 6th chapter, the 9th verse. For Esau, the end of the world, Jacob, the beginning of it that followeth. The Lord through the angel told Esdras, what should be the the parting asunder of the times and all that, Esau and Jacob, Esau the end of the world, Jacob the beginning of it that followeth. So we're right now at Esau's kingdom is coming to an end. But now who got next? It said Jacob got next. It said, yeah, Esau had the fatness of the earth, but it wasn't going to be a eternal thing. It wasn't going to be for eternity. It wasn't going to be permanent. The world without end is going to be Israel's kingdom, Jacob's kingdom, under Yahawashi, who the world inwardly called Jesus Christ. That's the kingdom to come. Thy kingdom come. Who's thy? Yahawashi. I'm going to read the NLT as well. It says, later Yahawashi on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him privately and said, tell us, when shall all this happen? What sign will signal your return and the end of the world? Now remember, if the Esdras was told that Esau, the end of the world, Jacob the beginning of it that followeth, if Yahawashi, when Yahawashi was on the scene, was in whose kingdom? Esau, during the Roman Empire. which now America is a rendition of that and a branch of that. So right now we're even closer to Esau's end even than we were back then when Yahawashi was on the earth. And now Yahawashi about to come back to the earth and take these devils out of the power seat. And then he's going to come back with that legion of angels he told, I was at Pontius Pilate about. He's going to come with that, man. And then you're going to see why his wife was troubled by with many dreams with Yahawashi, man. Hell, me and the brother were talking. She could have had a dream that of him and his glory. Talk about Yahawashi. Verse 4, and it says, and Yahawashi answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. And in NLT it says, Yahawashi told them, don't let anyone mislead you. And that's what a lot of these Israelite groups are doing right now that don't preach Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahawashi. They're misleading Jake. And you got our people that's listening to these heathens, especially Esau, being misled. He said, take heed that no man deceive you. And our people are still drinking the Kool-Aid of Esau. Still thinking that America is going to continue to endure forever. Thinking that America is going to be around forever. America is not going to be around forever. It can't be. It can't be. This kingdom is a poster child of straight wickedness, man. Evil. Esau can't be in the power seat forever, man, because why? He's wicked. The Lord said the prosperity of the wicked is short. And his prosperity, if you want to talk about from the time of Yahawashi to now, a couple thousand years, man, the Lord said we got eternity. Hell, they're going to be exterminated after 1,000 in our kingdom. And after they're exterminated, remember, the kingdom is going to go on. And we're going to be in eternal rulership and eternal rest, eternal peace. Yahawashi on the earth, the elect, starting with the elect and the Israelites, immortals on the earth, ruling over the nations and righteousness. All right, so this is the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, and it says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And when you go into the NLT, he says, Yahawashi says, and you will hear wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. So he says what? And you will hear wars and threats of wars. You got Putin talking about what? I hope we don't have to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, against Ukraine. But yet you have what you got America threatening Iran to go into Iran with military. You got the small hats threatening Iran along with America, or America along with Israel, whatever you want to say. You got China threatening war with the Taiwan and all that. North Korea, South Korea, everybody just beefing. That's why this Lord said it's a season. Season we're in right now, it's a time for war. So you can't have peace along with war, man. And that's what people don't get. That's what, especially America, that's what they don't get. When the peace is going to come when the Lord comes back, but they don't want peace. They just want the peace. They want peace for them, and they don't want to hear about no crazy shit. But yet the crazy shit just going to keep happening. There's going to be more. There's going to be more dissension amongst the house of Esau, whether it be America, whether it be Russia, whether it be Europe, whether NATO, EU, all that shit, man. Esau, your kingdom is divided so much. That's what the Lord said, kingdom divided, how shall it stand? If Satan cast out Satan, and that's what's happening right now with Russia and Ukraine. He talking about nuking his own people. Verse 7, it says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, man. And we've been having earthquakes. You got famines on the way. They talk about shells about to be empty. This all the things that Yahawashi, who the world called Jesus Christ, spoke on, that was going to be the sign of his coming, about to come back. The end of this world. Famines. Now you got them talking about if the terrorists continue, that's what, nation against nation, China and America, these trade wars. It ain't just all military. These terrorists and trade war, this is a part of war. Economic war. Trade war. They use the word trade. They say trade wars. That's what it's called right now, what's going on with America and China. They're going through a trade war. And that's a nation against a nation. That's Moab against Esau. Earthquakes. I know it's been earthquakes. Shit. I don't know the last recent one. Let me look up something real quick. Oops. Just for kicks, since Yahawashai said it. Shit, hold up. Fucker. Let's see what's the most recent earthquake. Oh shit. Okay, so you have one earthquake. It says a 7.4 magnitude earthquake strikes off coast of Chile and Argentina. That was a day ago. Okay, that's the same one. You said, and it has in Hindustan Times. It says earthquake of magnitude 6.0 hits Indonesia, Sulawesi region. Earthquake rumbles under this part of South Carolina for first time this year. That was 2 days ago. 3 days ago says Salt Lake City rattled by magnitude 3.9 earthquake Thursday morning. So this past 30. So the Lord said earthquakes. And all these earthquakes, you got what? It says, oh shit. It says magnitude 5.3 earthquake among three to shake remote West Texas. That's 11 hours ago. NBC News. So let's click on that. Oh shit. Okay, but it's in a remote area, but still, earthquakes nonetheless. So it says a magnitude 5.3 earthquake among three to shake remote West Texas. So it says a magnitude 5.3 earthquake struck West Texas on Saturday night, part of a swarm of earthquakes to rock the area near the Texas border with New Mexico, the U.S. Geological Survey said. So that was... It said Saturday night, so this is yesterday. It says the trembler struck at 7:47 p.m. about 35 miles south of White City, New Mexico. The USGS said the area is roughly midway between the Texas cities of Midland and El Paso. The quake occurred nearly 4 miles beneath the Earth's surface, the survey said. Because the region has a sparse population, few residents were affected. The USGS said ground failure and landslides were unlikely, as was liquefaction, which when soil behaves like a fluid, it said. The trembler was part of a swarm of 46 multi-small earthquakes in the area since early April, last month. It says USGS date indicates there's a 65% chance of a strong aftershock with the week, it said. So now they talk about what did the Lord say? Earthquakes. But he said, but don't panic, the ending will not come immediately after. So that means that this all gonna continue. Because remember, they still have to have the MOTB come out. So once that happens, then we'll be more in the like all right, we're about to hit the finish line of this race. It says NBC affiliate KTSM of El Paso, more than 100 miles west of the area, reported the 5.3 trembler was the strongest of three stronger than usual earthquakes to rock the area Saturday night, which also included magnitude 3.4 and 2.9 quakes. Now these are not super duper bad earthquakes, but earthquakes nonetheless. The survey, Did You Feel It list shows response from the Texas cities of Arlington, Midland, Lubbock, and more. No injuries were reported. So that was yesterday, and the Lord said in Matthew chapter 24, verse 7, he says, "For nation shall rise against nation." This is Yahawashai speaking. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." So now you got earthquakes covered. You got the holder. They talk about it's going to be empty shelves soon. So that means food shortages. And these are all things Yahawashi spoke on. That's what the disciples asked him, and then he told them. And now his disciples are back on the earth right now, in the reincarnation, wherever they may be, now seeing these things come to pass. And knowing that, now the time of Yahawah's return is near now. Because what else did it signify? It doesn't signify the return of no other God. These other religions, these other doctrines, these other nations are not talking about the return of their God soon. They're talking about praying for their God, praying to their God to stop all this war shit. But our God, our power, Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI said that what? He maketh war. He's assembling these nations. He's putting the spirit on these nations to get ready for war. They're not giving their gods credit, but we're giving Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI credit because he said he was going to do these things. He said there's going to be wars and threats of wars. Oh, and I'm gonna read verse 7 in NLT because you have earthquakes happening in many parts of the world, and now you have a lot of earthquakes happening in America. Shit, the state I'm in, New Jersey, we had an earthquake last year. Was it last April? So just that quick, a year went past. A lot has happened within last April. You had that earthquake that happened in New Jersey, and then that eclipse that happened that Monday after, because that earthquake was a Friday, and that eclipse happened on a Monday. And just look how much has happened within now a year after. How much of this war stuff with the AI, all of this. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 7, and this is Yahawah speaking. He says, "Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world." So there's famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. You got America having earthquakes. You got, let's say in Chile. You got over there in Asia, probably in Europe too. Over in the Middle East, you had earthquakes. You got wildfires, storms, destruction. The Lord said these are all going to be signs of what? The return of him sending sending Yahawah back. This is it. These are the last days. These are the actual last days that the Bible spoke of, man. Why do you think everybody's in that mindset? Everybody's in the mindset of war, the last days. Everybody talking about this. It was said in the Bible. You have people that's not even religious talk about, well, these things were written in the Bible. What other explanation is there? What other explanation is there besides the scriptures that speak on everything to a T? The regions, the quote unquote the fine detail, man. Detail by the fine, very fine detail. Yahawah said wars and rumors of wars. Well, after the disciples asked him, what should be the signs that coming? He went back up to the Father after that. That's why he said, what should be the signs that coming? Will you now restore the kingdom of Israel after he was resurrected? They asked him that. But that wasn't the time for him to restore the kingdom of Israel. But now that time is approaching. Now we're approaching that time where Yahawah is going to restore the kingdom to Israel, which is his kingdom anyway. Because the kingdom that Israel gets is under Yahawah. It said what? They should be joint heirs under him. So now the joint heirs, starting with the prophets, the 144,000, the elect, are out there prophesying against this kingdom. Telling these devils, telling you elites, telling you Edomites, man, your kingdom is going down, and you see it going down. And for you elites that's not in America, you still going down. You're not going to be calling the shots too much longer. Yahawah got your number, man. Yahawah is putting in your mind to do these things. Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, our power is putting in your mind to do these things, man. To bring the wrath, to deport these niggas, to deport the northern tribes, to threaten Iran, to send all that stuff over there to the Middle East, to send all that stuff over there to China, to all of that. All of this what's going on is our power having to be done. And that's why you can't stop it. The Lord said it's not the time for peace. When they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come. And every day more sudden destruction is coming to Esau's kingdom as a whole. I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about to Esau, the house of Edom's rulership on the earth, no matter where they're at throughout all the four corners. You're not gonna be able to take people's resources. You're not gonna be able to just do what the fuck you want as a wicked motherfucker that you are. Yahawah about to put your candle out, man. He about to put your light out. He about to take you out the power seat, and then he gonna sit there, and then the earth is gonna be his throne forever. And then after 1,000 years, y'all gonna be exterminated, man. The whole house of Esau shall be as stubble in the fire. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Shalom.